thank you all for coming today. My name is Emily. I am with the Chisago Age Well Coalition. We've been doing this for about 3 years, I think, these Dine Discovers, and the whole concept is that we are trying to bring education on senior issues to the public. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate Bryan and Wendy coming out today, and I hope you guys really appreciate the information that he is giving as well. Just a few things to keep in mind. We have been hosting for the last several years the Chisago Age Well Expo, which happens in October. This year it's going to be Friday, October 21st at the Chisago Lakes High School. We are planning on having as many vendors as we have had in the past. I think the first year we did this, we had over 70 vendors and over 300 attendees. So this is a great event to come and get lots of information and resources. This year, our emphasis is going to be on all the things you can do in our community that aren't necessarily health related. There's so many opportunities for volunteering, for leisure, for hobbies, and we just want to bring all that to you so it's all in one place and you don't have to go looking everywhere for them. We also have some upcoming events for classes. We do a lot with Family Pathways and their classes and Juniper. So take a look out on our table. We have a couple of things posted out on the table, but then also if you're on Facebook, we have a Facebook page, Chisago Age Well, and we try to put as much of these upcoming events with not just Age Well hosting, but also all the other providers in the area, so that you don't have to go looking in a lot of different places for those as well. Like our Facebook page and you will get updates on everything that is happening in our area. Like I said, we try to update that daily if possible. We also have a website, the chisagoagewell.org. More events posted there, information about who we are and what we do, and also a chance to donate. If this is something that you really appreciate and you want to see keep happening, we have lots of ways to donate, either through the PayPal app. If you shop on Amazon, we have an Amazon Smile set up, so all you have to do is put us on your Smile account, and we will actually reap a little benefit from every time you go shopping. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, my name is Emily, and I just want to thank all of you for being here, and I'll let Bryan take over.
My name is Bryan. I'm the Veterans Officer for Chisago County, and this is my assistant, Wendy. She and I are the only two that work in the Veterans Office in this county. I've been at the job for a little over 5 years, and Wendy's been here for 28 in the Veterans Office. A little bit about me. I'm an Air Force veteran. I was in from 81 to 92. When I got out, I went to college, got my education degree where I was in education for 23 years. In the last 5, I was a high school principal. Education changed a little bit. It wasn't fun anymore. So here I am working with veterans and their benefits. Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the tip of the iceberg of what we do. I'm just giving you a very brief overview of part of what we do in the veterans world, in the veterans office. Very first thing I want to tell you is we are not the VA. I work for the county. I'm a county employee. A couple years ago, I had an older veteran come into my office, very, very angry, and he started hollering very loudly. So in about a minute of listening to that, I looked at him and said, you do realize that I'm not the VA, right? You're not? I said, no. Well, then we had a great 30-minute conversation. She calmed right down and like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, I've worked for the county, so I'm not the VA. We do not work for the VA. We fill the paperwork out that gets sent to the VA, but we are not the VA. There are 2 main parts of the VA that we deal with. If you go down to by the airport, you got the VA hospital in Minneapolis. Less than a mile away, you got the Whipple building, the federal building. They're both VA, but they do not communicate. One's medical, one's benefits. 90% of our day is dealt with the benefits. We do very little on the medical side. We do not have access to your VA medical records. We get asked that question all the time. Well, can't you get my medical records? No. If we had access to your medical records, we wouldn't have time to do anything else because all we're going to be doing is jumping in your medical records, looking for what you want to submit for your claim. But on the claim side, where we spend 90% of our day, we do have access to those records. We have a card. It's called a PIV card. It allows us into the veteran website called VBMS. Once we go in there, if you have a claim, there's a good chance I'll be able to access it. I can see everything you've done from the first time you submitted a claim. I looked up a veteran the other day. He started his in 1968. I can see all the way from 68 to present. All the forms and letters that they send you, all the claims you've put in, we'll be able to access them. And Wendy also has the same card I do, so we both have access to your records. On the benefits side, we do not have access to your medical records. The DD-214, how many in here can raise your hand and tell me you know where your 214 is? Good. Very good. We need a copy of your 214 to do claims. The VA has to prove you were in the military. There's also burial benefits down the road. When it gets to that time, we get phone calls from family members. My dad passed and they wanted a DD-214 at the funeral home. Okay, well, where's the one they gave you when you got out? They don't know. So they want us to find one. We've got resources, places we can look. But if we can't find one, we're going to tell you to go into the attic, the garage, storage sheds, old houses, go through all your boxes, files, look for that 214, because without it, you're very limited in what we can do for you. There are two things we look for on the 214, Title 10 orders, which are federal, and Title 32, which are state. Depending on what you're trying to do, you need to have the Title 10 orders. We've got guards and reserves in our county who want to get benefits, but they do not have Title 10 orders, so they're not eligible. So if you know any guards or reservists, the young kids, talk to them about being deployed at least 6 months, 181 consecutive days. Doesn't have to be a combat zone. If there's hurricanes that hit Florida, they can be activated under Title 10 orders for 6 months. That counts. But they need to be activated under Title 10 federally versus state. VA healthcare. In my world, this is what we're trying to do, is to get you into VA healthcare. This is not health insurance. This is health care. We get that phone call, I want to be enrolled in VA health insurance. Well, it's not health insurance. You don't, depending on your disability rating, you may not pay anything. It's in VA health care. There's two ways to get in, income-based or service-connected. Income-based, if you're single and make less than $48,000 a year, we can apply and get you into VA health care. If you're married and make less than 60, we can get you in. The other day we had a family come in and they were sitting at $58,700 and some dollars. And they were freaking out like, oh, that's awfully close. They're going to tell me no. Well, there's a little section on the form that we fill out that says out-of-pocket medical expenses. Your insurance premiums, your Medicare premiums, your meds you're paying out of pocket, all these things we can add up and we subtract it from your income total. They had $15,000 worth of out-of-pocket medical expenses, which easily got him in the qualification. And he called the other day and said, hey, I got in. So he was pretty happy. We can subtract. So those numbers are there, but if you have the out-of-pocket, I know some of you don't have to tell me because I don't want to know, but we tell veterans that come in, adult diapers is not a pocket medical expense. Some people don't think of it as that, and they're expensive. They add up. The other way is service-connected. We get the, well, I served, I was connected. No, not in our world, you're not. You need a disability rating, and I'll get into the disability ratings here in a couple minutes. A disability rating of 10% can get you into VA healthcare. And then it goes up from there up to 100% permanent total. That'll automatically get you enrolled in VA healthcare. Or if you're awarded a Purple Heart or a prisoner of war, or you were in Vietnam with boots on the ground during those times. We got a veteran in a couple weeks ago where he was Vietnam, and we could prove he was boots on the ground, and we got him in. But if you walked in and said, I was in Germany, I'm still going to send it in. I'll let them tell you no. I'm not going to tell you no. And the other one is Camp Lejeune. How many of you have seen the Camp Lejeune commercials? I asked the other day, because I wanted to know, I said, has anything changed in Camp Lejeune that they didn't tell us about? Because that happens a lot too. We're the last ones to know. And they said nothing. I said, then what's up with the commercials? It's basically lawyers trying to get your money. They take 30% of whatever you get right off the top, and then some of them are making you sign a form, and they're going to take part of your every month, is what they told me. So what the lawyers want to do and charge you, I do for free. And they don't have any advantages over what we do. They don't have any access to anything different than what we do. And they can't make the process go any faster. So I asked all those questions, and they told me none of it. So they're just after the money. Next one. VA healthcare. There are 8 priority groups in VA healthcare, and each one of them depends on what co-pays you have. As an example, if you have a disability rating of 50% or higher, you're in priority group 1, which means absolutely nothing in the VA world will cost you anything. It's all taken care of by the VA as long as you do it through the VA. So there are no co-pays. And the co-pays depends on what priority group you're in. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, you have medication co-pays. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, $15 for a primary doctor and $50 for a specialist. That's the co-pays. There's no premiums, no anything else. Example of the meds, we have a veteran in our county. He had a medication, after his insurance paid it, he was paying $752 a month for one med. We got him into VA healthcare, and we did a home visit, and he showed me the bottles. One was from the private, and the other one was from the VA, and they had the exact same name of the med on it, and the same size of pill. He paid $752 and $11 for the one from the VA, for the exact same med. So I asked the question, so I like to ask questions, to the VA, like, what's the difference? Why the VA and this? And they said the VA is the only organization that goes out and negotiates prices with the pharmacies. Nobody else does, is what I was told. So, a lot of vets want to come in because of the meds. My dad was paying over $1,000. I got him in VA healthcare, and he's paying $100 for the same meds. So there is an advantage. But then I've had veterans tell me, well, I go through Walmart and get them free, a lot cheaper. Good, great, keep it up. I can't beat it, so stay with what you got. Disability ratings. They go from anywhere from 0 to 100% permanent total. Now this one, if you meet income limits, I did some research yesterday on that, and on va.gov it says at 0% you're in priority group 6, where you could be in priority group 5 at 0% if you meet the income limits. So I called eligibility in St. Cloud and asked them, I said, what's going on? What happened here? Why does this say this? They had no clue, because they even brought up va.gov and looked at it and go, oh, we weren't told this either. So it's being looked into, so I may have to change this slide hopefully here soon, that if it's 0%, you're automatically enrolled in VA healthcare. 10%, you're automatically enrolled with no co-pays for medical. 10% you pay for your meds. Otherwise, you could have 5 stents put in, and the VA authorized it, they're not going to charge you anything for the actual procedure, just the medications. 30% you get to add your spouse to your claim. So if you're married with 5 kids, well, you're going to get credit for 6 extra people on your claim until they hit the age of 18 and taken off. And here's one that makes no sense to me, but 30% or higher, if you need an ambulance ride, the VA will pay for the ambulance. If you don't have a 30%, like 0, 10, or 20, they won't pay for it. We have a veteran in our county. If you ask him, he'll tell you. He comes through the security and tells everybody what happened to him. He died twice of a massive heart attack. Second time, he says, I was dead for 10 minutes. That's what the nurse told him. And they brought him back to life. Well, he had a very large medical bill. And the VA paid the medical bill, but the $5,500 ambulance bill, they didn't pay because he's only rated at 10%. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Like, how can you, it made no sense. But that's the frustrating part about this job, is I have a lot of common sense and you deal with an organization that doesn't use much. So it's frustrating. But that's the ambulance ride. 30%, 50%, there's no co-pays for anything. Your VA healthcare is all taken care of financially. 70%, you get property tax relief. Simply means if you're rated at 70% up through 100%, your property tax, if on $150,000 of the value of your property is paid for. So if you own a house and it's $200,000, at 70%, you only pay for $50,000 of property tax. Plus, this is another big one. At 70% or higher, as long as you are in a VA contracted nursing home, there's no cost to you or your family. The VA will pay for that if you're in a VA contracted nursing home, and we have 2 of them in our county. There was a push last year by the state of Minnesota, Department of Veterans Affairs, to get 1 contracted nursing home in every county in Minnesota. And I haven't heard about it, so we're fortunate we have 2, one in North Branch and Chisago City, Parmley and Ecumen, are both VA contracted. So if you're 70% or higher and you're in a nursing home, it's not going to cost anything to you or your family. 100% permanent and total, same property tax to 70%, except the number goes up to $300,000. So if your house is valued at $275,000, you do not pay property tax on your house. And it doesn't matter what county you're in, what lake you're on, how much the property tax is, you don't pay it. And you get CHAMP VA for your family. Now that is health insurance through this program, CHAMP VA. The last I heard, the premium is $150 a year for your family to use it. And I have not heard anybody complain about it. They walk in with their card, they give it to them, and everything's taken care of at CHAMP VA. I haven't heard anything bad about it. Okay. Healthcare and Medicare. We do not deal with Medicare. We know very little about it. We don't know anything about Social Security, other than if you call them, you're on the phone for a very long time. You can have both Medicare and VA healthcare, yes. They do not work together, though. If you go to the VA, Medicare will not pay for what happens at the VA. But if you go to an outside facility, isn't there one across the road? I think so, yeah. Medicare might pay for that, but the VA might pay for it also. But the Medicare won't do anything at the VA. But the VA might help outside of the VA. This is a big one. We get asked this question a lot. Well, now that I'm in the VA, do I have to keep my health insurance? Don't ask us, because we're not going to give you a straight answer. I'm not going to make that life decision for you. That's you and your wife or your families. We highly recommend you keep as much as you can afford. If you only have the VA, something happens, and you run in and say, I'm with the VA, I can't promise you the VA is going to pay for it, and then you're stuck with a $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 bill, because all you had was the VA, and the VA decided they're not going to pay for it. So we highly recommend you keep as much health insurance as you possibly can afford. A lot of veterans tell us they have health insurance through the company they retired from, and it's great stuff. They have Medicare. I said, oh, fantastic, keep it. Then we get those that, I don't want it, I just want the VA. Well, that's your choice. What would you do, Bryan? Don't ask Bryan what he would do. I'd tell you, keep as much as I can afford. Next one. This is a big one. Community care. Simply means you can go to your private doctor and have the VA pay for it. But there's a catch to all of it. You must have prior approval from the VA before you go see your private doctor. and you must be enrolled in VA healthcare to do this. This used to be called Veterans Choice. And did everybody get a card in the mail that says Veterans Choice on it? You can go see any doctor you want. Oh, we had veterans coming in and said, I did what the card said. Well, they didn't call and get authorization, so they got stuck with the bill, and there's nothing I could do about it. This is similar to Veterans Choice. It's changed a little bit. Now they actually put this out telling you need approval. So this is what this outreach is doing. This is our fourth PowerPoint in the last month and a half. A lot of veterans didn't know about community care, but you need to have approval to do this. Next one. Urgent care. Walk in. You're authorized 3 of these per year as long as you're enrolled in VA healthcare. I'd be very, very careful using urgent care because their definition of what's urgent is pretty vague. My definition of urgent might be different than yours. And if I'm the VA and it's different than yours, they may deny this because, oh, that's not urgent. You could have made an appointment to have that taken care of. No, you weren't sick enough to go in. It's somebody making a decision based on what you're going in for. And urgent care is just, it's urgent in your mind. We had a patient advocate from Minneapolis come up to one of our coffee talks, and she just flat out said, don't use urgent care. Because the definition of what they consider urgent is so vague. So if I cut the tip of my finger off with a chain or the saw while I'm working at home, is that urgent? Or can I put something on it and make an appointment the next day? And I don't know. The definition of urgent is, in their mind, pretty vague. I've only known a couple veterans that have used it, and they said it went fine. So, I'm not telling you not to use it. I'm just telling you to be very, very careful if you do. Okay. Emergency care. This is the one we get most phone calls on. Normally an ambulance is involved in this. You call the ambulance and go, that's an emergency. You need to notify the VA once you get there within 72 hours of why you're there. You need to notify the nurse, the doctor, in the emergency room, hey, I'm a veteran, I'm in VA healthcare, please notify the VA. Well, I understand during those situations it can be stressful, things can get out of hand, people aren't thinking straight and correctly, so they give you 72 hours to do this. You do not need pre-authorization, must be enrolled in VA healthcare. And we do have a flyer with instructions on it. And it's right over there if you want one when this is all done. But family members, the veteran goes in for a heart attack. He's laid up, he's in the hospital, he's all there. You need to have somebody in the family make sure somebody at that hospital called the VA. They're going to give you an authorization number. If we don't have an authorization number or proof that they called, there isn't much I can do for you. But you need to make sure they talk to somebody on the other end that did their job and gave them an authorization number. Because that's the first thing Wendy's going to ask if you call her is, oh, I'm sorry to hear what happened. Did you get an authorization number? Oh, yes, I did. Oh, fantastic. Let's roll. Because you're going to get a bill from somebody on this because that's just how it works. The VA is very slow on paying bills. So they're going to send you the bill, hoping you'll pay it, and they'll have to avoid the VA. You need to notify the 72 hours. The form over there that we have, I'd highly recommend that you put it in your medical records, private records out here, wherever you go, that it's in your records that you are a veteran and to notify the VA. So it's right there, and it comes up, veteran, notify the VA, it says. I don't know what it looks like online. They're going to call the VA. You need to ensure they do. We have a veteran, one of the first ones I worked on when I got here. He was in a car accident, had no ID on him for said veterans, no family, just him. He was unconscious for 4 days. He came in because the VA denied his claim to have it paid because he didn't notify the VA within 72 hours. So we had to go through the process of getting letters from the doctor telling him that he was unconscious for 4 days. He couldn't notify anybody. We didn't know who he was. We didn't know he's a veteran. We submitted that paperwork, and that was over 4 years ago, and I haven't heard anything back from him, so I'm guessing the VA did the right thing and took care of it. But that's what they're going to do. They will not pay it if you miss that 72-hour deadline unless you have a situation that says they do. Here's a pretty cool one. It's a grant.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, that VA healthcare, is that different than the TRICARE for retirees?
Yes.
Okay.
TRICARE, I believe, is insurance, isn't it? Yeah, VA healthcare is not insurance. You have premiums and all that?
I do.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah. TRICARE is different than VA. And we don't do anything with TRICARE either other than, so you retired?
Yes.
How many years?
30,
In what branch?
Army.
Good for you. You just get out recently?
2005, 2004.
Enjoying retirement?
Hmm?
Enjoying retirement?
Well, I've been retired for quite a while.
Oh, doesn't mean you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Good answer. The HISA grant, Home Improvement and Structural Alterations. With this grant, they will come into your house and add, you have issues in the shower, they'll put handrails in. You have issues getting off the toilet, they'll put rails to help you get up. They'll put ramps up. They'll do things around your house to make life more accessible, more comfortable for you to get around. My wife and I bought a house, it'll be 4 years in October, and it was a veteran, and I don't know what his rank was. I mean, his disability rating, I'm guessing it was 100% permanent total because he had rails all over the place. We didn't buy it because I don't need rails yet, but he had them all over the house. And I don't even know if he used this grant, but that's what the grant is for. We've received 2 of these in the last couple weeks that they wanted to put in a walk-in shower. They have bathtubs now and they can't step over the bathtub to get in, so they want the walk-in shower. This grant will help put that shower in. It starts with your primary doctor at the VA. They called me yesterday. Her name was Tina. And she told me, well, you got to start with your primary doctor. I said, yep, is this about this veteran? She goes, yes, it is. I said, yeah. He was told by his nurse that they don't do this grant anymore. And she goes, that's not true. I said, yeah, I know. It was probably a young nurse that started new. And so we worked through it. But he went through some company in the cities, and they sent me the paperwork and wanted to know if I could help him. Like, well, at the top of the application, it says send it to the medical center. I'm not a medical center, so I emailed him back, said I'm not a medical center, but we did send it to Minneapolis, and then he mailed me the same application. So he starts with your doctor, which he avoided. Next one. You can get up to $6,800 to put in what you need. That application that was emailed to me was $15,000, and they denied it, she said, because it's way over the limit, and they didn't follow the proper procedures. $6,800 for a service-connected condition. So if he's got bad legs and he can't step over the bathtub, he can get up to $6,800. If he has tinnitus and he's having troubles walking and needs handrails around, he can get up to $2,000 if approved. Okay. How to apply? This is what this young lady told me over the phone yesterday. And I said, we know this. We tell them every time they come in, I need this, this. It starts with your primary doctor at the VA. You need to sit down with your doctor at the VA and talk about what you need in your house and bring up the HISA grant. And they're supposed to help you through this. They will tell in description of what you need, why you need it, what the disability is that's happening, the diagnosis, justification for the improvement and alterations. The doctor does all this. Then they send it off. It's called prosthetics, is where it gets sent at the VA. And they will send somebody out to make an assessment of your house and see exactly what's needed. And if it's approved, they'll come in and supply all this stuff with this grant. So this is a big deal because eventually, in my world, not everybody, but I'm guessing most people as they get older are gonna need some type of help and support to get around. Steps might be hard for you, so you get a ramp put in. Getting in and out of the bathtub might be difficult, you need to shower, or you can use the handrails, get out the toilets, things like that. This is a great program, and if you need it, please take advantage of it. Okay. The PACT Act. How many of you heard of this one? It was just signed yesterday, I was told, by the president. Burn pits, we've been told in our training, are the new Agent Orange. They burned everything, I've been told by the vets that come in. Tires, chemicals, batteries, I've been told animal carcasses, everything got burned, and they breathed it in. And 23 presumptives, most of that is for respiration, lungs, and breathing. That's a big one, but this one here I think is also rather large. Thailand. A lot of veterans have filed claims for Agent Orange exposure due to being in Thailand, but the VA said they only used Agent Orange along the fence lines. And if you had a job that required you to work in the base, not on the fence line, you didn't qualify because you weren't exposed because you didn't work on the fence lines. So here's where my common sense comes in. So you're telling me that they only kept the vegetation down along the fence line, let it grow on the rest of the base? Or you think they sprayed it around? Well, my common sense says they sprayed it all over the place. The VA said it only happened on the fence lines. Until now. Now with this PACT Act, they recognize that if you were stationed on a base in Thailand, it doesn't matter what your job was or where you were located on the base. If you were there and we have evidence to show that you were there, you can submit a claim for Agent Orange exposure if you have one of the presumptives. That's a big thing. Something else that we learned on 2 days ago. Agent Orange for our Vietnam veterans. Hypertension, high blood pressure has now been granted with the PACT Act also. So if you're a Vietnam vet that has high blood pressure and you were in Vietnam, we can submit a claim for Agent Orange exposure based on your high blood pressure. That's what the PACT Act also adds to it. We found that out just the other day. So this is a big deal. It took a while to get there, but it's a big deal. Okay, My Healthy Vet. How many of you are enrolled in VA healthcare? How many of you have a My Healthy Vet account? One hand. Do we know what it is? What's it called in My Chart?
Like a My Chart.
It's like a My Chart account, only it's through the VA. Same thing. My Healthy Vet and My Chart are the same thing. This one's through the VA, My Chart is private. You can do anything. I don't know what My Chart, I don't use it, so I don't know if I can do everything there or not. I made an appointment through them. And then they called and said I couldn't come in the day I requested, but I made one. You can do your prescription refills. You can do all this through My Healthy Vet. You can even talk to your doctor through secured email and ask questions through My Healthy Vet. And if you come in and say, I need my medical records for this, or you come in to file a claim, let's say for diabetes, for Agent Orange exposure, and you've been going to the VA and you've been diagnosed with it, we're going to ask you, we need a copy of your diagnosis. And you're going to tell me, well, how do I get that? And guess what we're going to say? Go to My Healthy Vet. And you tell us you don't have one. Create one. I don't know how to use a computer. Do you have grandkids? I was in education I taught sixth graders for 18 years. They knew more about the computers than I did. And they're only 12 years old. They can definitely get you a My Healthy Vet account. You can go in, find what you need, and print it off. So if you don't have one, I highly recommend you go and create a My Healthy Vet account. All your medical records to the VA will be there. Next one. The claims process. We spend...
Can I just add something?
Yes, ma'am.
It's ADA compliant as well, so when you go on and if you can't read very well, You can press it so it will tell you what is on that webpage.
Oh, very nice. I did not know that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
don't hear very well, so, yeah,
Oh, is it service connected?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What branch?
Air Force.
Oh, there you go.
I was a crew chief on the F-16 on the flight lines.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah.
Crew chief. So you maintenance?
Maintenance, mechanic, jet mechanic.
I did not envy your job at all. I was ammo troop, munitions,
yeah.
explosives, bombs, 20 mil. And when we go out there, crew chiefs, the plane is broke, they don't get to go home until their plane is fixed. Many times I went home at 4:30, came back the next morning with a trailer, bombs for the planes, and the crew chief is still sitting there waiting for parts to come in. They're not allowed to go home until that plane is fixed. So I did not envy their job at all, because they did not go home. And you were assigned to one plane?
One plane.
Yep. And they had to be up and flying. So the claims process, this is what we do majority of our day is spent doing the claims process. You can file a claim if something happened to you while you served in the military. Our most common claim, we do 5, 6, 7 a month, hearing loss and tinnitus. Do we know what tinnitus is? Ringing in the ears. I have tinnitus. I was Air Force, spent many hours and days sitting on the flight line around aircraft. And I have hearing aids for my tinnitus, because I miss words. If you call and leave me a message, I have to listen to it 3, 4, 5 times to make sure I heard it correctly. Too many times I've called a veteran Tom and his name was Daryl. I'm like, I heard Tom, how did you get Daryl out of this? I miss words. With my tinnitus, I have to sleep with a fan on high, oscillating fan in the corner, otherwise the room's too loud and I can't sleep. Mine goes up and down like a symphony in my head. That's tinnitus. It's different for everybody, but that's mine. That's the most, I don't want to say the easiest claim. It's the most, hearing loss and tinnitus are the most popular, because there's no test for your tinnitus. It's all the words you tell them. Hearing loss, they're going off the test. When you hear the beep, and they're going by the numbers. But those are the two most common that we submit. Our older vets, when you file a claim, the VA is going to look for your STRs, your service treatment records, your medical records. They're going to look for an exit exam, especially for hearing loss. If you have an exit exam and your hearing it says it's normal when you got out of the military and you walk into our office and you have a hearing test that says you're practically deaf, I can't help you because your exit exam said you had normal hearing. So when you got out, you were okay, and as years went on, your hearing went bad. Well, I'm sorry you're bad, but I can't help you. If the claim is granted what we submit for, you'll get a disability rating of 0 to 100% permanent and total. We had I don't know if he's with us anymore, he was a World War II vet in his late 90s, couldn't hear, so we submitted a hearing loss claim for him, and he came out with 100% permanent and total for hearing loss. So it does happen. Most of it's 10 to 20%, maybe 30, but the ratings will go up if your hearing loss is significant. What the VA is going to try to do with this claim is they're going to see if you had an exit exam, what did it tell you? Plus they're going to look at your personnel records and see what your job was. Being Air Force, you might understand what I mean by pencil pushers, and I'm no offense to those who did that. But that's what we call them, the ones that sat in an office all day. They weren't out in the flight line, they weren't exposed to noise. They're going to have a tough time getting a hearing loss claim because they weren't exposed to noise, versus those veterans that were out exposed to the noise. Okay. If we submit a new claim, we're going to submit what we call a 526EZ. It's 5 pages, and we're going to tell the VA that we're submitting a claim. As an example, diabetes due to Agent Orange exposure. That would be what we would claim. Then, when we claim this, we're going to have to provide evidence that you were in one of those 3 things. How many Navy vets do we have? No Navy? Oh, we have one. Blue Water Navy veterans, this was added just 2-3 years ago, where now the VA recognizes that Navy veterans could have been exposed to Agent Orange if they were on a ship that was within 12 miles of the coast. And Wendy and I have a ship locator where we type in the name and it'll pop up and it'll let us know how close you were if you were within 12 miles and the dates you were there. That's what we'll have to do. We have to prove this. And then, this is the big one. You can walk in and tell me you have diabetes. I believe you. I have no reason not to believe you. The VA does not. You have to prove it to the VA with a diagnosis. Medical evidence to support what you're claiming. And that's what we're going to ask you for. If you call Wendy up, want an appointment to file a claim, she's going to ask you, do you have a diagnosis? Do you have medical evidence? And if you tell her no, can you get it? Well, I haven't seen anybody. Okay, you need to prove what you're claiming. So we'd submit what we call an intent to file, which simply means we're telling the VA sometime in the next year, you're going to submit a claim, while you go out and get the medical evidence to prove what you're claiming. Next one. An increased claim. If you have a service-connected disability of 0 or higher, and you think it's gotten worse, and you've been seeing a doctor, and the doctor tells you, yep, it's gotten worse, you can file an increased claim. If you're rated at 10% for hearing loss, and you think your hearing's gotten worse, we can submit the claim for an increase. And if it's gotten worse, they may increase it up to 20, 30%. All that's going to do is get you more money every month. But it's an increased claim. But we're going to talk if you're sitting in this range. Even 30% or higher, 40%, 50%, you want to file an increased claim? I'm going to ask you why you want to do that. Why are you going to poke the dragon and wake it up? Because the VA is going to look at this and say, oh, they think they've gotten worse. Because one of 3 things is going to happen. Go to the next one. The rating will go up, the rating will stay the same, or the rating will decrease. We have 2 veterans in the last year with a 90% rating, making $2,500 a month, sitting at 90%, getting all the benefits of property tax relief, came in and wanted to submit an increase. We had a long visit about poking the dragon, because they're going to look at everything to see if it's gotten any better. Well, guess what happened? They said that he improved on both of them. And they dropped the rating on a couple of the things that he was claiming. The positive about it is he didn't lose his 90% due to VA math. Yeah, VA math. Have we heard of VA math? Because 50 plus 50 does not equal 100 in the VA world. Probably somewhere around 80%. The closer you get to 100, the more difficult it is to get there. I didn't bring the slide to show it, but I do have a slide that shows these numbers, and if you add it all up, it came to 130%, but the overall rating was 85 because of VA math. So their rating was decreased, but it was high enough to where it didn't affect his 90%. The VA rounds things up. If he's sitting at 85, they're round him up to 90. He may have been sitting at 93%, and they take away 30, he may have dropped him down to 88, which still rounds up to 90. That's how the VA does it. So he got very lucky. They both did, and I haven't heard from either one of them since. So it's totally up to you. I'm not going to tell you not to do anything. I'm not going to tell you to do anything. I will say, why do you want to poke the dragon? Why wake him up? If you're happy with it, hey. Next one, appeals. This is new. Well, they've always had appeals, but the process is new. You have the supplemental, you have the higher level review, and you have the veterans law judge. We do supplemental claims 3, 4, 5 a month. They're real easy to do on our part. You have a lot of homework to do with it, but ours is easy. Okay. Supplemental claim. In order to do this, you need new and relevant evidence. We had a veteran with the PACT Act with Thailand. He was denied Agent Orange exposure, but with the PACT Act coming in, stating that anywhere in Thailand, on the base he was on, you can be exposed, we have new and relevant evidence with the PACT Act. Otherwise, if you have, you blew your knee out, you did something to it, and you got to prove the VA doesn't believe it happened in the military, you go to a orthopedic doctor, and the doctor says, oh, absolutely, carrying them ruck racks around destroyed his knees. And the Army guys, out Air Force, I couldn't do that. That would have torn me up, carrying ruck racks around, or ruck marches. Did you have to do them?
Many.
Yes. Up the hills and down the hills?
Up the hills and down the hills, up the side of the mountain, down the side.
My son's in the Army, and he says he hates running. I said, what are you doing? But he said the same thing. He goes up and down, rain, shine, didn't matter. Yeah, I couldn't do it, so. You need new and relevant evidence. So the doctor says, these ruck marches blew out your legs. Carrying it up, doing all the marching, all this running, all this up and down, all over. That's new and relevant evidence. Now you can't come back 6 months later with the same letter from the same doctor saying the same thing. That's not new. That's just a repeat, and they'll deny it based on nothing new. There's no limit on the number of supplemental claim appeals. You can do it 100 times as long as what you're appealing, what you're saying, is new and different than the last time. Now, we're going to get to a point in this where you keep coming in, and I'm going to talk to you about going to the next level if we do this 2 and 3 times, they keep denying you. Do we know what a nexus is? A nexus statement is we use Dr. Cronin for mental health. If you come in and the VA denies your mental health claims, I'm going to send you to Dr. Cronin to work with you. He's a specialist in mental health, and his nexus statements are anywhere from 23 to 27 pages long. He does a 100% thorough evaluation of you. He supplies medical, scientific evidence, studies, and everything to prove his point. He's also recognized by the VA as a doctor that they acknowledge, and he's got a 90-some% approval rating. We've only had one that was turned down that I know of since we've been here, and he is a World War II veteran with mental health issues, and they denied him his mental health because they said that over the years, between the age of 20 when he was in to 92, he didn't do anything in between, so they didn't believe his mental health affected him growing up. He was the first member of the Atomic Bomb Commission. After the bombs in Japan dropped, he went in and cleaned up the body parts and took them over to scientists and gave it to them from doctors so they could study what radiology did on the body. That's what he's been living with, but he didn't do anything about it. And the VA says, we acknowledge you have the problem, but I don't think it affected your life. So, higher level review simply means you come to me, I do the first initial, and I deny your claim. You want to do a higher level review, which means you submit it and Wendy looks at it. I'm here, she's up here, higher level. You can't add anything to it. They're going to look at the exact same evidence this person looked at, and they're going to make a determination. We've been told to try to skip this one. They're rarely ever overturned. So, if you come to see me, if you're dead set on doing this, I'll do it. I will let you know the odds are and all this, that very rarely are they ever overturned. Next one. I just wrote those numbers down 2 or 3 years because that's what they told us a while back. But we entered the Veterans Law Judge. This is where we're going to talk if you come in with 3 or 4 supplemental claims. We're going to go to this and talk about the law judge. You can add new and relevant evidence with the law judge. We went to San Antonio a couple months ago for national training, and they had the lady in charge of the law judges. I forget her name or her position, but she was in charge of them. And they are, this was back 3 months ago now, 2 months ago. They were 260,000 appeals behind. They have 105 law judges. Last year they saw 21,000 appeals, and they want to get it up to 50,000. So if you take 250,000 and divide it by 20, how many years are you looking at? 10? Before they get seen? But they told us 2 to 3 years. Well, that's not reality. They're way behind, and they don't have enough law judges to make the decision. But I just had a vet go through this, and the law judge asked him some questions about the appeal, and he goes, my job is to approve these. You made a great case. I'm going to approve it, and normally this takes this long. He says, but I'm going to make sure that you get a decision within the next 2 weeks. It gets taken care of. And it did. So we've been told, too, that the law judges are there to help you get your case granted versus taking it away. But they're way behind, and we've got our vets that say, I'll be dead before this gets approved. I'm sorry, but it's quite possible that it could. Okay. I'm not going to talk much about this. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of what veterans pension is, because I could spend the next 2 hours talking about just this program alone. So I have a card. If you have questions about this afterwards, please give us a call and we can talk, bring you in for an appointment, because this is a very huge program also. But don't be fooled by the word pension. This isn't a retirement thing. You don't get, I guess you get money out of this, but it's not like you worked a job, then you get your pension. So why they gave it this name, I do not know. But this is for low-income veterans. It provides monthly payments. You need to be a wartime era. If you call up and say, my dad or my grandpa is going into a nursing home. I heard that there was a pension program. We're going to ask you, do you have money in the bank of $130,000 or more? If you tell us yes, you're not eligible until you get under $130,000. And we're going to ask you, are you a wartime veteran? Yes, I'm Vietnam or Korean, World War II. Oh, great, fantastic. Or if you tell us, no, I'm a peacetime, you're not eligible for this program being a peacetime veteran. You need to be wartime era. Next one. Wartime era, other than dishonorable discharge. 90 days of active duty, 65 or older, 100% permanent total, and less than $138,489 in the bank. Do not try to hide the money. They will find it. We had a family that did that, and the VA found it. And they stopped the process. There's another family that came in. We did all the paperwork with them, took down all their numbers. You have a lot of homework with these applications. Took down all the numbers. We sent it in to the VA. The VA sent them a letter, which they're very good at doing, and asking you to fill out these forms and send them back. Well, don't do it on your own. Call us up, because we can look up the form they sent you, and then we can tell you what to do. Well, this family sent the form in with different numbers from what we sent in earlier. Well, they sent them another letter and asked them like a dozen questions. And I thought, oh my, I've never seen questions like this from the VA. And Wendy and I talked about it, and our impression was the VA was going after them for fraud because the numbers were different. And they weren't even close. So we brought the family in and sat them down, and I just pointed, I said, why are the numbers different? And they goes, what do you mean? So I showed it to them, both applications, and they looked and, oh, I don't know. I said, well, the VA thinks you're trying to fraud them with these questions. Well, they stopped the process right there. They didn't want to do it anymore. So our thing now is whatever numbers you write down, you better have the paperwork that proves those numbers. You got to prove what you're doing. But do not fill out paperwork on your own if you're coming through us. let us know and let us go through paperwork with you, because the VA will find the money if you're trying to hide it. Okay. So pension, there's 3 different types. This one, you can just get money from the VA for low-income veterans to help compensate for their numbers. Housebound, I got a story for you on housebound. Simply means you're confined to your home unless you have to have medical assistance to get out. You know, someone has to help you into the car to take you to your appointments. Otherwise, you're stuck in your house. You don't go anywhere. A veteran came to my office and wanted to file for housebound. So I asked him, how'd you get here? I drove. Well, you're not eligible for housebound then. He goes, well, I can't go to the basement or upstairs. I'm stuck to one floor. That's not housebound. Just, you can't do the stairs anymore. You can't do it. So, really? He said, yeah, you can't physically leave the house on your own, but you drove here. Oh, okay. He was fine with it, but he drove to his appointment. Like, okay, that's not the definition. Aid and attendance. Receiving skilled nursing. Now, when we talk about skilled nursing, we're talking about you're in a nursing home, you're in a bed, and you're just there all day. Or you're at home, and you have skilled nursing coming in every day to help you get dressed in the morning, help you get out of bed, help you to take a shower, help you to eat, help you get off the toilet. These are all things that skilled nursing is going to do for you. Because we have assisted living facilities. We have a lot of them in this county. And we get this call, well, they're in assisted living. Can they get this aid and attendance to help? And we're going to ask those questions. Do you have a nurse come in on a daily, regular basis? No. Okay, do you have a nurse come in at all? Well, there's a nurse in the building. Okay, then you're living in assisted living, but it's basically an apartment that the meals are made for you. The meals are provided. Yep, that's not skilled nursing then. But if you have a nurse come in every morning to help you get dressed, help you get out of bed, help you go to the bathroom, help you get down to that meal, help you with your medications, all this, we consider that skilled nursing, and we would apply for pension. Now the VA is going to determine which one of these 3 you are. I'm going to put down aid and attendance because I want the most. They will not pay for everything under this program. Under this program, they're going to pay for enough to keep private money private longer. And you get to a certain point, I believe Medicaid kicks in through the state, which will help then. But aid and attendance is there if you're receiving skilled nursing. This is another good program for surviving spouses. And I use diabetes as the example. A lot of our Vietnam vets who have exposed Agent Orange unfortunately have diabetes. If the veteran passes away from a service-connected disability, such as diabetes, and it's written on the death certificate, the surviving spouse can file for DIC, and they will get $1,437 a month for the rest of their life. Plus, they'll be enrolled in CHAMP VA. This is a fantastic program for our surviving spouses. Married at least 1 year, it's a little iffy. We had a veteran, they were together for 35 years or so. They got married, 8 months later he died, so they weren't married for the 1 year. She brought in all the evidence that they bought houses together, car loans, all this other variety of stuff that they did together. We submitted it and the VA granted it, based on they cohabitated. So we have to prove it to them. You're also enrolled in CHAMP VA under DIC. So your health insurance will be taken care of also. But this is a fantastic program. We've had, since I've been here, we've had 4 or 5 death certificates amended where you come in and we look at it, and then I'll look at your disability, what the veteran had, and say, take this to the doctor and see if he'll add any of these onto your death certificate. And the 4 or 5 times I've done this, I've never had one turned away. The doctor added it. Then they come back and we file for DIC and they get their money, they get their compensation through the VA. So that's a fantastic program.
Sorry.
Burial benefits. Remember how I asked you how many of you knew where your 214 was? This is one of the biggest areas that we get questions on. Burial benefits. Now on the form, because I was getting them coming back when I first started, they were all denied. Like, how can you deny them? It said service connected, non-service connected. Well, in my mind, non-service connected means it's a veteran that didn't take advantage of the VA, so he's not getting anything from the VA, but he's non-service connected. Not in the VA world. Service connected means the veteran died of a service connected disability, such as diabetes. Non-service connected means the veteran passed away and all he had was 10% for tinnitus. That's the difference. One, he was service connected, and one, he passed away, but he just had 10% for tinnitus, so he didn't die from a service connected disability. And if you're a veteran who did not take advantage of the VA, the only thing we can apply for is a bronze marker for the cemetery. You don't get the other burial benefits. Go ahead. Service-connected death. Oh, ischemic heart disease, Parkinson's, diabetes are all Vietnam era. If you're service-connected and it's on the death certificate, you can get up to $2,000. You'll get $2,000. Plus, if you get buried in Fort Snelling or National Cemetery, they will help reimburse the cost of transporting the veteran's remains. Okay, we see the bills come in. Burial benefit, or the burial bills. And I always look at the transportation costs. I'm curious. And this one came in, it was $750 to transport the body. So I asked them, so how far did they transport it? They said 2 blocks. They went around the corner. $750. So here's what I tell people. If you have kids, grandkids, and they can stomach this stuff, there's your job. One, it's not going away. Ever going away. It's always going to be there. And $750 to transport 2 blocks. That's a lot of money. So that's just my little soapbox thing for you. Next one. Non-service connected. You have tinnitus and you pass away. $300 and they possibly pay for the plot. Well, apply for it and the VA will determine whether or not it's paid for or not. That's the burial benefits. It's a quick form you're going to have to provide, depending on the situation. Could be marriage certificate. Depends on which family member is doing it. If it's a child, they're going to have to bring in their birth certificates to prove how they're related to the veteran. Next one. Bronze marker. If you are not service connected for anything, did nothing with the VA, we can apply for a bronze marker. It's about this big, weighs about 15 pounds, and if you go through the cemeteries, you'll see them on a cement pad right in front of it. They're very nice. My dad got one last year, and in September we're actually going to put it down for him. Some of these cemeteries, the family came in and they weren't very happy, I guess, because they got $200 put in the cement pad. They said we could have went to Home Depot and bought the thing for $30, their own thing, and put it in ourselves. But they got charged $200 to do it. So I would definitely check with the cemeteries to see if you need the cement pad and if you're allowed to do it yourself. Or they'll do it for you and then they're going to charge. But the bronze marker, it's nice. You get a choice for burial benefits. It doesn't cost the veteran anything to have it, unless you're in Fort Snelling, and then they will give you the white one. Next one. Headstones and markers. The Bronze Star, that's the big one where 4th of July Memorial weekend, you go by the cemetery, you see the flags flying. Those are the Bronze Stars. You stick them into the ground. And I haven't heard about it in the last couple of years, but when I started this job, we were telling them when they come in to put a plate on the bottom of it and somehow weld the top of it or secure it, because people were stealing them from the cemeteries. And they were taking them in and selling them. And then they got smart because somebody got caught because he brought in like 50 of them to turn in. And the person he turned them into called the cops. So then they started melting them down and bringing in the bronze. But Wendy jumps on Bryan, Matson, and I don't know any others in the county, and she'll go through the list of names of people who have passed, and she'll check to see how many of them are veterans. And then we'll add them to our list. Because once a year, the state of Minnesota, Department of Veteran Affairs, will send out a list of wanting to know how many veterans have passed. And we submit the list, and they provide these bronze stars. And I have to go pick them up at one of the cemeteries. So I went to Little Falls Cemetery this year. My wife and I went in, and if you've never been to one, you should drive through one just to see it, because it's maintained beyond maintained. They're super nice. But then they got the white headstones, and then over here they had headstones, but they're awfully close together. And I'm thinking, why are these normal and those are so close together? And I'm thinking they're awfully short people or something, and my wife goes, it's cremation. I said, they bury them? I didn't know that. I thought they just went in the crematorium. I didn't know that they buried. So I learned something, that they're awfully close together, and like, okay. Huh? Oh. That's what we provide. Headstones and markers, if you're in Fort Snelling, the white one, they'll provide that for you. Okay. SSAP, this is another program for low-income veterans. There are 4 different areas of it: dental, optical, special needs, and subsistence. If you are a single veteran and you're making less than this per month and have that much in assets, you're eligible. If you're married, you need to make less than that to be eligible for these programs. Okay. Dental, if you're eligible, you can get up to $1,000 a year to get your dental taken care of, if you fit in those parameters for income. We have a single mother of 4 kids, and she got $5,000 because all 5 of them were eligible for the program. You have 1 year to use that money, and that's whatever they need to do. As long as if it goes over $1,000, you have to pay the extra. Here's a fantastic program. Once in a lifetime, dentures and extractions. If you're eligible, this program will pay $2,000 to have your teeth extracted, $3,000 for dentures. There's one catch. I haven't found a dentist in our county yet that will work by these parameters. They're all very willing to take this, and then they'll set you up with a nice, easy payment plan for the rest of it. So then you tell them, like, this is for low-income veterans. They can't afford the nice, easy payment plan. Well, it can't help you. And I called everybody in the county. I even went to some of these places and talked to them. The place we found, one in north St. Cloud, the other one's in Maplewood, but they're a national chain. But they will work within these parameters. You just have to drive to them. And I haven't had anybody complain yet about this program with the dentures. It works, it does well, but nobody in our county is willing to do it yet. We'll try again sometime soon. Okay. Special needs grant. This is a once-in-a-lifetime grant based on case-by-case basis, and income and assets aren't necessarily followed, depending on your need. The grant can pay up to $5,000. They'll help with your mortgage, your rent payments, home and auto repairs, as examples. We had a veteran come in, and he was being foreclosed on in his house. Well, when you come to see us, we require 3 months of bank statements. The VA, or the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, for this program wants to know what you're doing with your money. While I'm going through this application, she's got the bank statements, and then she kicks me in the leg. And I look over at the bank statements, and twice a week, every month, $250 has been drawn out at the casino in Hinckley. So he wasn't eligible for the program because he was gambling away his mortgage payment. And his wife sat there shaking her head. And we asked him about it. My wife goes, I keep telling him not to do it, but I guess we'll sleep in the car. He left, and we haven't heard back from him. That was a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure what happened. but he was gambling it away. Now that doesn't mean you can't go to the casino once in a while, a couple times a week, taking money out. They're not going to grant that. What they won't consider, airfare, traffic tickets. We had a kid come in, he had parking tickets, and they impounded his car, and he didn't have the money to get it out. Wanted to use his grant. They're not going to do that. Credit card, cell phone, and cable bills, they're not going to pay all that because that's extra luxury stuff. They won't pay for it. So this is a once in a lifetime, and they've paid up to $8,000 to help a veteran out in the spot. So the $5,000 is there, but we tell you $5,000 because that's what they tell us to tell you, but each circumstance is different. So if you have a friend that gets $5,000 and you get $8,000, they can't come running back in and like, oh, so-and-so got $8,000, I want the extra $3,000. Each situation is different. That's how they look at it. Okay. Subsistence. Here's another one we've had 3 in the last couple months, and I don't think I've done one of these since I've been here and 3 in the last couple months. So everything goes in cycles. So I guess it's its turn. If you're working and you get hurt or injured and you're unable to work, this program will help pay your bills up to 6 months. And it's the same process, everything else, income-based types of things. How much do you make? What's the injury? What's preventing you from working? And every month, you have to verify it. So if you're coming in and telling us you can't work for 6 months, every month you have to bring in the paperwork from the doctor telling us that you are unable to work still due to your injuries. We have a young man, he's younger than me, so he's a young man. Come in, I think he fell off a four-wheeler, broke both his arms. And he can't work anymore for a while. That's what we're working on now. So that type of thing. He can't do much with his arms. He broke these bones. He can't do much. And yeah, we sent the application in, waiting to hear from him. Okay. Cemeteries. State cemeteries, Little Falls, Preston, Duluth, and Redwood Falls is coming soon. In our state cemeteries, the spouse can be buried with you, but it'll cost you $745 to be buried together in a state cemetery. They have a cement casket liner, and they do 7 burials per day, starting at 9 a.m. When we went, there was a funeral about ready to happen, and there were a lot of people here. A lot of people out there, and we'll go to the next one, then we'll talk about Fort Snelling. Fort Snelling, they do 32 burials per day, 15 to 20 minute ceremony. Do not be offended if you're buried here, a family member is, and your 15 minutes is up and they push you out the side. Because they will push you out. Because the next family is already standing there waiting to come in. And it's a cycle. We have, at the American Legion, we have Legion members who work the ceremonies down at Fort Snelling. What do they call it? I forgot. There's one point. Honor Guard. They're part of the Honor Guard. And they say, yes, they will push you out. They will just start guiding the family out the side, and the next family comes in. So you don't get more than 15, 20 minutes tops, so do not be offended when they push you out, because that's what they do. The spouse can be buried with the veteran at no charge. So I was curious and asked, how do they do this? And I had a husband and wife in the office, and I said they dig a really big hole for 2 coffins. And they put one on top of the other. Well, this old veteran, he just kind of grinned, and he sat back in the chair, and he rocked. He goes, well, and looked at his wife and goes, you got to go first, because I'm on top. And he thought it was pretty funny. But they do winter burials. So, of course, my mind's going, it's Minnesota. It's February, January, 4 feet of frozen ground. How do you do a winter burial? Well, they answered the question. They dig the holes in the fall, a couple dozen of them. They fill them full of leaves, and they put a tarp over it. So when it comes to using the hole, they pull it back and they blow the leaves out. And then there's the hole. And they bury them. And the honor guard, there's a couple of them that we know, they say they're extremely busy. We've also been told if they don't buy more land by 2030, Fort Snelling will be full and they will close it down unless they buy more land. So you can be buried. There is a pre-need application. Here's another one. We have a guard put his 6 years in, applied for Little Falls, and was denied because he did not have Title 10 orders. He did not go active duty in his 6 years. So they said he basically wasn't a veteran. So they will not bury him in a state or federal cemetery. So if you have guards out there, you know of guards or reservists, again, I'm emphasizing they need to go active duty for at least 181 consecutive days to get benefits. That's not me standing in the soapbox, that's the reality of things. That needs to happen. We had it set up, they haven't called back or done anything, but we were going into the schools to talk to those that were graduating, had enlisted, and were going in. We wanted to sit down and visit with them before they went in to let them know what they need to do so that our office can help them when they get out. Don't play this macho stuff where I have a, I can't go in, they'll make fun of me. Rub some dirt on it, take some ibuprofen, and off you go. No, I don't care if you have a hangnail on your pinky. You go and have it looked at. Because down the road, that may come back to bother you, and if you don't have evidence in your STRs, your service records that it happened, there isn't much we can do for you. So they have to go active duty for 181 consecutive days if they're in the Guards or the Reserves. Next one. NPRC. If you do not have a copy of your 214 and we can't find one and you don't know which box it's in, or you can't find the box, or it got destroyed or lost or whatever, we will send off to National. That's what we call it, National. When COVID hit, National shut down completely. I've been told, never been there, it's the size of a football field, the warehouse, and rows and rows and rows and rows of files. Wendy and I were deemed essential. We didn't get to go home, we were there the whole time. You're in a warehouse. You request your records, you walk out, you find them, you pull them out, you put them in an envelope, and you mail them. Why'd they shut down? That's what the VFW, American Legion, and other military organizations ask the same questions. And NPRC opened up 10% capacity of workload. The last I heard, they were about 50%. And the last I heard, there were 250,000 claims behind. We have veterans that requested their records over a year ago, and they're still waiting. So, the VA does not move quickly, and COVID really slowed the VA world down heavily. But that's where we would go. But I do have a, no, not yet, just a sec. I do have a trick that we would try. You don't necessarily need a DD-214 to submit a claim. I can't do it a lot, but we would submit the claim and ask the VA to go get your records, which they have to do. Sometimes they'll find it, they just won't post it to where I can see it, but they will grant stuff. Sometimes they post it so I can grab it. Wendy and I can get a copy. But they do not recommend that we do that on a regular basis. But I will if I have to. Okay. Veterans van. The county has leased us a van. 10 passenger, it's got a lift in the back for wheelchairs and scooters. And it's big enough to where I can stand in with a hat on and not touch the ceiling. Van drivers told me that I need to get a smaller van because it's nothing but a big old sail going down the interstate when the wind hits it. So I got to get the next lower version. But the county leased us a van. It's a very nice, big white van. I'm sure if you've been out and about, you see it. It says Chisago County Veterans on the side, on all four sides. We have very good van drivers. In fact, we had one just retire, so someone's looking to be a van driver. Please give us a call. Fill out the application. We go to Minneapolis Tuesdays and Thursdays. We go to St. Cloud on Wednesdays. We go to Maplewood on Mondays. We were doing odds and evens. No offense, gentlemen and ladies, but some of our older vets got odds and evens mixed up. So we just figured the days of the week were a lot easier to remember and figure out. So that's what we do, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've been standing here the whole time. Mind your way? You sure?
You move back and forth.
Oh, I can't stand still. That's just, I got to keep moving. So I keep moving. And that's what our van does, okay?
What time was the pickup? What time?
Oh, good question. What time is the pickup? Depends on what time your appointment is. We'll pick you up at your front door, and we'll drop you off at your front door. And no, we will not stop you off, drop you off at the bar that's on the way home, because we've been asked that question too. It's only 2 blocks away from where I live. No, we picked you up here, we're dropping you off there.
But it's a long day, isn't it?
It depends.
It'll be a long day.
It depends on who else is riding. You might be the only ones on the van. Or you both have 8 o'clock appointments, and you're done by 9 and you're on your way home. Oh yeah, we got veterans that are being picked up at 5:36 in the morning to get down there for lab work. And our van drivers will get you there, and we travel all over the county. We'll pick you up wherever you're at. We will not go into your house and get you though. Now you can grab an arm and we'll walk you out to the van, but we can't pick you up, we can't move you, because if we happen to pick you up, ma'am, and drop you, and you hurt yourself, then we're liable. So we will not go in and get you. To ride our van, if you get travel pay, simply means the VA is paying you to come to your appointment. $35 to ride to Minneapolis, $40 to St. Cloud, $35 to Maplewood. If you do not receive travel pay, it's just $10 to ride the van. Your spouse can go with you. If your spouse goes with, it does not cost anything for the spouse to ride with. And yes, we have veterans that will call and ask how many people are on the van. What's the latest appointment? What's the earliest appointment? Oh, okay, I'm going to reschedule. I don't want to get up that early. Or I don't want to stay that late. I'll find another ride. We have a Marine in our county. He's a big boy. And he's a loud boy. And he gets very political. So, we don't, how to say this? It is a privilege to ride the van. It's not your right. You can get as political as you want standing on that sidewalk before you get in the van and when you get off. But in the van, no, because other veterans can't get away from it. So he doesn't ride the van anymore on his choice. So our van drivers are very good. They will wait for you down there. They have one, when you get there, they're going to tell you the meeting point. So when you're done, he'll be sitting there waiting for you. He will also walk with you if you're a little nervous about things or lost to help you get to your appointments. They're very good about making sure that you're there and safe and on the way back. Maplewood does not have food. The other 2 facilities do. So if you go to Maplewood and you're going to be there a while, Wendy will highly recommend you bring a sandwich with you, because they don't have any type of cafeteria. And if you need the ride, Wendy does all the scheduling. And yes, if you have to be there at 7, our van drivers will pick you up at 5 if they have to. Next one. Free errands for veterans. We have a flyer. It's right over there. My dad passed away a year ago this past June. A couple months before he passed, I got this flyer about free errands. So Friday morning I filled it out. Half hour later they called me, got some more information. Monday afternoon, it was on the porch of my house. I live in Mora, and they're from the cities. It's made out of solid oak. It weighs about 10 pounds, and it's made by veterans. The company that makes it is veteran-owned, and they don't take any money for it. They ask for donations, which my wife donated to, but it's an option. And it's a very well put together. They put a round emblem on it. They put his name tag on it. He's a Marine, so they put a Marine emblem on it. It was top shelf stuff, good stuff. So, all right. Coffee talks. We do 2 of these a month. North Branch, we're at the American Legion. We start at 9 o'clock on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, so this coming Tuesday we'll be at North Branch. We've been doing the one at North Branch for over 4 years now. We have 25 to 30 veterans showing up at a time. A lot of them are repeats. They come in, they like the treats and the coffee. And then they like to give each other a hard time about what branch of service they were in, and they go back and forth. We bring in guest speakers to talk about what they can do for veterans in the community. We were worried when we started this we wouldn't have enough guest speakers. Well, people are calling us because they found out about Coffee Talk and they want to come in and talk to the veterans that show up. So, if you have nothing better going on, I highly encourage you to come to a Coffee Talk. Chisago City, we just had it last week. No, we just had it Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. At the Zion Lutheran Church. And we had Ecumen Hospice volunteer come in, and she talked about the Dignity Walk and the pinning ceremony that they do for veterans who are on hospice. Dignity Walk is when a veteran passes, they take them out the front door, and they have veterans that they've called who are on their list, and they salute the veteran as he goes out to give him the dignity of that instead of pushing them out the back door or side door. They take them out the front door and everybody lines up and gives them the honor that the veteran has earned. And the pinning ceremony is when they get put in the hospice, they pin a flag on their lapel and they hold a little ceremony for the veteran. And that's what she does. So she's coming in to talk about that next Tuesday. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I got some goosebumps when she talked about the Dignity Walk. And we go out the front door. So we have flyers on this too, but we've been doing the one here for about 1.5 years, and this one's been over 4.5 years. And we're at the American Legion, and we're at Zion Lutheran Church, and we start at 9 o'clock, and we go till 10:15-ish. And I was bringing donuts to the North Branch one, and they told me to quit bringing donuts with sprinkles. So I quit it, and now they're asking me again, what happened to the donuts? I said, you complained about it because they had sprinkles. So they're never happy. Next one. Questions? Nothing? Okay. That's all I've got. Thank you for attending.
Hello, my name is Wendy Kowalke. I'm the Veteran Service Office for Chisago County. I am the assistant to Bryan Brown, and we're here to help veterans and their families get their benefits for them. And if you need any help with that, if you call directly at 651-213-5605. And we would love to help you get into the benefits, health care, help with dependents if you need any help with that. We offer a wide range of information, and if we don't have the answer, we can get the answer. So thank you, and have a great day.